Postal workers are facing increasing threats. House Bill 1775 receives a temporary injunction, and Oklahoma funds a civil rights trail. This is the KGOU AM NewsBrief for Tuesday, June 18, 2024. I'm Jim Johnson. Postal workers famously brave rain, snow, and storms to deliver mail, and increasingly they're facing the threat of theft and physical harm. OPMX's Anusha Fathapure reports on letter carriers sounding alarms concerning an increase in postal robberies and violence.
Over the last year, at least 8 postal workers in Oklahoma have been assaulted while doing their jobs. Ken Mayfield is the president of the National Association of Letter Carriers Oklahoma City Branch 458. He says postal workers deserve to feel safe at work. After all, they are an integral part of their communities.
We watch out for customers who are hurt. We call fire department if we notice somebody's house is on fire. We watch out for our customers, and we just like for them to watch out for us.
Oklahoma isn't alone. In the past 4 years, there have been more than 2,000 instances of postal carrier violence across the nation. In March, representatives in the U.S. House introduced H.R. 7629. The bill increases funding for the Postal Service to improve safety and mandates federal prosecutors prioritize crimes against letter carriers. Mayfield encouraged Oklahomans to call their representatives and advocate for their mail carriers. In Oklahoma City, I'm Anusha Fathapure.
Parts of an Oklahoma law that bans teaching certain race and gender topics in Oklahoma classrooms are on pause after a federal judge issued a temporary injunction Friday. State Impact's Beth Wallace reports the move comes 2.5 years after a lawsuit was filed.
The lawsuit claims HB 1775 violates the First and 14th Amendments. It was brought by OU's Black Emergency Response Team and several other plaintiffs against the state attorney general, state superintendent, and others. In the orders, U.S. District Judge Charles Goodwin prevented the state from enforcing part of the law banning any university student orientation or requirement that presents the idea of race or sex stereotyping or bias. It also stops the state from enforcing prohibitions on school employees teaching 2 concepts. First, the concept that individuals should be discriminated against due to race or sex, and second, the concept that members of one race or sex should not attempt to treat others without respect to race or sex. He said the provisions were impermissibly vague. However, Goodwin did uphold other parts, including a section that prohibits employees from teaching that one race or sex is inherently superior to another race or sex. For State Impact, I'm Beth Wallace.
State funding is now in place to create Oklahoma's Civil Rights Trail. Lawmakers approved creating the trail last year. The funding was included in the fiscal year 2025 budget recently signed into law. The trail will highlight the state's black towns and locations important to the civil rights movement, as well as Native American sites of historic significance. The trail will start in Ponca City and Fairfax, and then proceed through more than a dozen cities and sites before ending at the Clara Looper Center, currently being built in Oklahoma City. And a reminder, it is primary election day today. You'll find an overview of what's on the ballots across the state on our website, kgou.org. Thank you for making KGOU your on-demand and NPR news source.
I'm Rachel Martin. You probably know how interview podcasts with famous people usually go. There's a host, a guest, and a light Q&A. But on Wildcard, we have ripped up the typical script. It's a new podcast from NPR where I invite actors, artists, and comedians to play a game using a special deck of cards to talk about some of life's biggest questions. Listen to Wildcard wherever you get your podcasts, only from NPR.